About 2 years ago, year and a half ago, an existing customer of ours, his name's Don, he contacted us and said, hey, how do you feel about taking on a party bus? I typically don't say no to projects, so I was like, sure, let's take a look at what's going on. So he bought the bus from a local retirement center in town that was, so the bus is older, it's I think like a 2006. And it was at the wrap shop getting an exterior wrap on it. And so I went up there with Austin and we measured the living dog out of the interior. So just went up there with tape measure and masking tape, made a bunch of reference points, mapped out the floor and the walls and the windows, and came back, designed it all, drew it all up into CAD. And so by the time it came back out of the shop, I already had a design. I knew we were doing a bar, I knew we were doing seating. He needed to be able to fit, I think, 8 or 9 adults. We had all that space worked out and drawn up in CAD. So we have a 3D model of what it is that we're gonna do. We got approval on the job. Well, now I had to start sitting here making a parts list. So by any means, this is the biggest, craziest job that we've ever taken on. And we've never actually had a name for the job. It's just always been the party bus. Any customer, any employee that we talk to, it's the party bus. We call it a party bus, but it's not for rent out. This is actually, a better term would be an RV. This is a family recreational vehicle to load up all the family and the kids and grandkids and to go drive the town and look at Christmas lights, go on a ski trip to Colorado, go to the Dallas Metroplex area to go on a shopping trip. This way, all the family can be together instead of them taking 3 or 4 vehicles to fit everybody in. It sat in our driveway up here at the shop for 14 months. So it was constantly here. Customers would be driving by and they would ask us questions about it. If customers were here, we could take them out there and show it to them. The short answer is, if we had an idea, Don was all about it, and we had free reign. So this is the Sistine Chapel of 20 years of experience of learning this industry. You know, this has everything that we could throw at it. This is before we had the laser. We did have our CNC machine. It was using that to its fullest and, you know, building from there. We've been in this industry a long time. We've worked on conversion vehicles. And when I say conversion vehicles, I mean conversion vans that have the lofted roofs, that have the reclining back seats and handicap conversions, limousines, anything like that that's been taken to a third-party shop and then modified before resale. They all suck, and they all suck to work on. The wiring is always terrible, the installation's terrible, serviceability is terrible. So those are some of the main primary goals that we wanted, was to make this super easy to service, and we wanted it super easy to take apart and work on. We knew we needed seating, we knew we needed storage, we needed places to put luggage. One thing, we knew we were going to do a bar, because, you know, party bus. He was adamant about just a couple of small things. Because I knew this was more of a recreational vehicle, one thing he was talking about was loading up all of the guy friends and going on fishing trips or on, you know, a gator hunting trip. So you got like 7, 8 grown adults inside of a bus with little adult beverages, and activities can happen. We needed to make sure that if something got damaged or spilled or dirty, where it needed to get replaced or worked on, that it was all easily serviceable. I did not want to have to take apart an entire bench in order to get one piece reupholstered. We had more of an approach, kind of like how you would build a boat, where every seat cushion, every piece of trim is all removable and easily serviced. So if something gets damaged, we can pop a cushion out, we can pop a wall panel off, we can do whatever, and we can take stuff apart in an easy manner. The bus has the big back door for the escape hatch, and then it had a lift gate for a wheelchair gate. That gave us 2 large doors that gave us about a 6-foot, 5-foot opening. That was, honestly, without that, it would have been really hard to get all the seating and everything in. We decided to use that for the bar because we're doing a wet bar. So now we need a sink, we need a water pump, we need a clean tank, we need a dirty tank. But that also meant we had a lot of other electronics and stuff too. So we use this kind of as a hub point, so you can open the doors and we can get to service all of the water and anything related with that. We also use that to house our mini fridge. One of the other goals that I wanted to do was, It's, again, party bus. You have a bunch of adults. You have a bunch of adults who have phones. I knew drinks were going to be a big concern. Well, and if you're doing bench seating, you don't have armrests. You can't do cup holders built into armrest. So we had to give some function and some thought onto that. So what we did is we used a space between the seats and the windows, and we made these cup holder pedestals that each one holds 2 cups, and on the side of each one there is a USB charger. So everybody has their freaking phones nowadays. So we gave access to 2 3-amp output charging points, so everybody could keep their devices charged up if they're on a long road trip, going on a ski trip or something like that. And then we had 7 cup holder pedestals mounted throughout the truck, so we had space for 14 drinks and 7 USB chargers. So every adult would have, every pair of seats had access to a cup holder area. Well, now we also had to deal with structure because we wanted a good sized television in there. There were multiple things, structure-wise that we had to deal with, but we also had to deal with, one thing I didn't want to do was load this bus up with a whole bunch of 2x4s and thousands of pounds of MDF. Trying to keep things somewhat lightweight was a goal, just because you have to drive it, you have to live with it, and if you're in traffic in Dallas and you're adding an extra 1 ton worth of equipment, that's going to have an effect on the livability of the vehicle. We built a wall in the back to hold the closet, and that's all 2x4s. Then we built a partition behind where the driver goes, so next to the stairs and behind the driver. Those are out of 2x4s. But then everything else on the bus is 1/2-inch birch ply. So yes, we're spending more money on materials, but everything is lightweight, and it makes serviceability and everything with it a lot simpler for us to deal with. One hurdle that I kept running into is space and getting things in and out of the bus. The front door is only like 3 foot wide. Well, we have bench seating that we have to work with. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to use 2x4s and build in just a bench along the wall. So all the seating is completely modular. So everywhere that there is a set of cushions, that whole panel can unbolt, and you can take the cushions out, you can take the whole seat out. All of the seating is completely modular because we had to be able to get it in and out of the bus. We couldn't build the rear wall closet until we had the seating established and figured out where it was going. So we had to get the seating in first and then build the wall and build it kind of backwards. It would have been nice to be able to say, here's a wall, let's start working our way forward, but we knew the seating was going to be the most important part. Once we got the seating done, then we did the laminate flooring. That was pretty straightforward. We got vinyl laminate floor, so we don't have to worry about moisture or anything like that. We built the seat pans, meaning the wood parts that come off and that the upholstery attaches to, and then we handed those off to an upholstery shop in town. So we sat down with him and said, hey, this is what we want to do in this area, and there's the colors we want to do, and we handed off the pans, and they were able to do all that and work on them while we kept working on the truck. So once we had the seating established, then we could get the bar in there, and we had to get the bar built and secured in a way that it was structural, because we had to hold a 42-inch TV. The bar itself is actually attached to the subframe of the door opening. We wanted the TV at the front of the bus. A lot of people kept telling us to put it at the back because we had this giant closet wall. But I don't want to drive down the road in a bus facing backwards, because to me, I just feel like we'd all be getting sick. So we came with the solution of throwing it at an angle on the front of the bar, and that allowed us visibility completely from everywhere on the U-shaped seating. So that way, no matter where you were sitting on the bus, you could still see the TV very clearly. It was comfortable for everybody. You weren't worried about it being on a wall where somebody could damage it or lean into it or knock into it. It's kind of protected a little bit back onto the bar itself. We used a super heavy-duty wall mount for TV mount and got the TV positioned where we wanted it to be. Got it angled and all that stuff, and then we used detachable cables or strapping so we can unsnap it and we can move the TV and take it off if we need to. So everything on the television and the entertainment side is serviceable. Once we got the door frame and all that stuff on the wall for the bar situated, then we were able to start building off the rest of our structure off of that. We were able to get the seats in place for a permanent location, get them bolted to each other, bolted to the truck. Then we start with the back wall. And one of the major things that we wanted to deal with, like I said, was we needed storage and we needed structure. When we got the bus in, it had, in the very back of the bus, it had an air conditioning unit. One of the big hurdles that we had to deal with was this is a 2006 bus, so it had some age, it had a lot of mileage. Fortunately, one good thing that came with the bus is the people at the retirement center, they kept very detailed logs of the service and the maintenance on the bus. Whenever we got the bus, we were trying to make sure stuff, let's make sure everything works before we have to start dealing with things and having to fix them down the road. What we found out is we could not get the air conditioner to turn on for us. And so contacted Don and said, hey, was this working whenever you dropped it off with us? Turns out, no. In fact, it was not. And even the front air conditioner wasn't turning on. He drove down here during the summer. He lives an hour away. And it got so hot in the cabin while he was driving that his iPhone turned off and black screened because it was hot. We started trying to find somebody to service this air conditioner. Well, in the service logs, it had already been serviced like 8 times. It was every other year you were charging or you were doing something with this air conditioner. It was just a known issue. And when we were working on it, we couldn't find anyone to service it. Nobody in town wanted to deal with that style of system because it was so old school. Now, not only are we doing a wet bar and crazy electronics and fabrication, now we had to cut a freaking air conditioner into the roof. That was another big hurdle that we had to resolve, but that tied back into the rear wall closet, because one of the things we were trying to deal with is how do we build this closet in this storage area but still have access to the air conditioner, because we were worried about the air conditioner in the back being able to blow forward. We didn't want the closet blocking it. We didn't want the closet keeping us from being able to service it or any of that stuff. Getting rid of that old unit made our jobs easier on building the storage and everything in the back. But it did add some complications because now we had to deal and worry about power, and we will come back to that. That's another issue. The wall itself is insulated completely with rock wool. And the reason we were doing that is because, again, we're dealing with a bunch of adults putting off heat and a small air conditioner. And we wanted to give that air conditioner the best fighting chance we could. So by us putting an insulated wall up, one, it's a bus, they're noisy, period. There's not a lot of insulation in buses. So us putting a wall up got rid of a lot of windows and a noisy back door. Putting the insulated wall got rid of all the light coming from 5 additional windows. So even though we had the bus tinted with ceramic 5% tint, it still was less heat that was being introduced into the cabin. And then back there, that's where we mounted the subwoofer. The subwoofer enclosure is in one corner and fires the bass forward. But then on the passenger side of the closet, it's all of our amplifiers, and that's the hub of the whole bus. It has all of our fuse blocks and distribution and relays and all that stuff in the back corner. So that is the house, the living, breathing workings of the cabin itself. So we got the closet built, and we not only have a closet from that you can open and access from the back, I also gave a platform on the top. So if you're traveling with a bunch of adults, you're going to have backpacks and purses and diaper bags and all that sort of stuff. So we wanted places where you could put that. So the top of the closet is still accessible. We actually put lights up there so you can see. So if you're getting out of the bus from the front, you can see on top of the closet, and you can see if there's any storage up there. Underneath all the seats, like I said, it's built like a boat. So all the seat pads come up, and you have full access to storage underneath the seats. So there's a bunch of storage in there. But then, since we did rounded seat corners in the back, there's little triangles. There's a pretty good sized space in the corner of behind each rounded seat. So again, you could put purses, backpacks, day bags, snack bags, whatever you want to put in there. What we did for around the kick panels is those panels that are on, so when I say kick panel, down at where your feet touch the floor, so when you're sitting down, it's behind your calf, between your butt and the floor. All of those panels are held in place purely by pressure. It's what's called a French cleat. So there's 2 panels. This is a straight up like cabinet building technique. This is not something that's normally used in car audio. When you have two 45-degree panels that overlap each other, they hug and that locks them together. All of those panels that wrap around on the bus come off with nothing. You reach inside the storage, you unplug the lights, and it lifts right out. So the seat pan itself that has the upholstery, that's what holds all those in place. So if something gets damaged and has to be taken off, then poof, we can unplug it and we can swap it out, we can remake it, reupholster it, and do whatever we have to with it. But that's built in layers because we have the upholstered panel, we have the lit up acrylic underneath with lights behind it. So there's like 4 layers of wood going on there. So all of that had to be designed and planned in whenever we were building out the seat frame and how all that stuff was going to go together. If y'all have questions, like I said, hit us in the comments, give us a shout, find us on Facebook, on Instagram, call the shop, shoot me an email. All the information's at the end. Thanks, guys.